The 1200cc parallel twin retro classic flagship from Triumph. Beautiful styling, well equipped, and it turns heads everywhere it goes. What's not to love? Well, I've owned one for 2 years and I can think of 3 things actually, so here they are. Now if you're looking into the Triumph Scrambler 1200, you will have already seen, I am sure, comments and reviews about the heat that comes from the exhaust on this bike. Just look at these temperatures when it gets to temp. Now I was aware when I bought the bike that it gets hot, and I test rode it in November and it felt fine. But nothing, I promise you, nothing will prepare you for how hot that exhaust is in the summer. It is honestly, it's unbearable. It's gotten to the point now where in this hot summer days, I don't look forward to riding this bike. It is so excruciatingly hot. Now there was a fix for this, the Triumph did, with I believe the 2021 or 2022 model onwards. They put the cap, they put the cap in the mufflers of the exhaust. Mine are there, and it generates so much heat, because they have to operate, that it burns your leg. It is unreal. I've never known another motorcycle to be so hot and in such close proximity to your leg. Even on a run on the motorway, for example, you can still feel the heat coming through. And if you're in any kind of standstill traffic, stop start, if you have to put your leg down, I'll show you here. When it comes to stop at lights, I put my left leg down and my calf is right up against this exhaust, and it is so hot. All of my jeans have little pattern marks in where the heat has gotten in and started to fade it. Even if you go both legs down, which a lot of people need to do because this bike's so tall, your leg's up against here. Bunker Custom Cycles have made a little leg saver. I haven't used it, but to be honest, if you're keeping the cat in, I can't foresee that an extra piece of plastic is going to do anything. And it just doesn't make sense, because you're going to want, in order to have control of the bike, you want your legs to be tucked in up against the tank. It goes against that instinct, so it makes you subconsciously want to move your leg away, which is just bad form for riding. So I want to ride like this most of the time in the summer, and I don't have good proper control over the bike. Terrible. So because mine's a 2020, I have a cap converter here, and it gets incredibly hot. The fix is to decap. So you buy new link pipes to where your slip-ons go, and it's straight through pipe. It might help with engine performance, but the main thing is the heat reduction apparently is incredible. But how this made it out of the factory, with them knowing that that was an issue, I do not know. It is so hot. I haven't done decap, I've kept it stock, and yeah, it suffers in the summer for sure.
The key. This is another big gripe for me, and it honestly is something that frustrates me every single time I get on the bike. I'm not exaggerating, every single time. This key just does not work. I've replaced the battery, I've taken it to the dealer to have a look, they've replaced the battery. I've rechecked the wiring on where the wireless pickup is. 90% of the time, this key does not work. It's wireless. I don't understand why it's wireless. It doesn't need to be wireless at all. I'll explain in a second. It might sound like a small thing, but when you use it every single day, it gets incredibly frustrating. Now, interestingly, this wireless key is something that has been discontinued for the Scrambler 1200. I believe it's still on the Rocket, but the 2024 Scrambler X, they've gone back to a traditional key in the ignition in the steering column. And I'm sure that's from feedback from riders, because this thing is so freaking annoying. And on top of that, when I'm then finally riding, it comes up with an error saying that the key's not detected. So if I were to stall, it's likely that the bike wouldn't turn back on again, which is just dangerous. I really wish you could retrofit a mechanical key to this era of Scrambler, because I'd do it in a heartbeat. I would happily do away with this thing.
The same thing happens when you get back. So let's say I pull up somewhere, turn off the bike, and then the first thing I'm going to do is pull the key out of my pocket and drop it, and I'm going to lock the steering lock. Can someone explain to me why this is a good idea? It's also not a cheap machine. Nothing about the whole experience on this bike, well, apart from maybe the key, but we covered that. Nothing about the experience feels cheap or economy. You really do get what you pay for. But that also means, unfortunately, that the parts are super expensive. And labour isn't cheap either. To be fair, labour in most dealers isn't anyway. But with Triumph, you do pay a premium for the whole experience.
For example, on my first trip off-road on this Scrambler, I dropped the bike a couple times and I broke the radiator, and I subsequently realised that the fan was corroded on the mount and needed replacing as well. The cost for that work, with parts and the labour of fitting the fan, because I did the radiator myself first, was over £800. And it just goes to show you have to be seriously flush with cash to run this bike and use it to its full potential on-road, off-road, and be prepared for the big bills that come when you do spill and need to replace components. They are well made, but they cost a lot to replace. I'll be getting into that more in my next video, so do hit subscribe if you're not already and you want to stay up to date on what's going on here at Willie's Wheels. That rounds up all the things that I hate about my Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE. It's a small list. Some of the things are actually very annoying, but for the most part, it is a phenomenal bike and I love owning it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything I missed. In the meantime, stay safe and I'll see you next time.